And you're asking, like, what do we do about...
Is you sign a contract with someone.
So real quick, before you did that, did you...
More than 30 years. I got my real estate license in
and your origin story.
Is that he made an age joke the last time we were. I'm gonna use that Kuka.
You know, I'm a little more strict with what I'm looking at.
And it could be as little as $1 to $10, doesn't matter. Now, the question is, if you did not put down an EMD, really, will the court, if you end up taking it to court, how will the court find? That is actually the question. Is a judge may say, well, you didn't put down an EMD, so you really didn't have equitable interest. And if it gets to that point, you didn't put down EMD, you might as well just let it go. Okay? Judges don't like investors. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right? You might as well save yourself some lawyer fees and court fees and this and that. And just say, all right, I'll just move on to the next one. All right? But it is not legally required to have an EMD in order for it to be legally binding. It is not. And some people think it is, and that's where you get the $10 comes in.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
Because I'm listening to how these other people are doing it in these other places, and then
Yep.
you know, again, not having started here, you know,
Yep.
and I just want to do things the way that it's supposed to be done. I don't want to do anything more or anything less
Sure.
than what's happening out there.
Sure. And the thing is that it could be that, yes, you could do it, and be perfectly, and be perfectly legal and do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, it's not a necessary step at the moment. But when you decide to get bigger, that's when I would recommend doing it.
Okay.
But in the beginning, and the reason why I say when you get bigger is because what happens when you become bigger? When you become a bigger business, you become more of a target.
Yeah.
For lawsuits.
Mm.
Okay. Then I would implement at that time maybe a $10 rule. But I would never hand off EMD straight to a seller unless you're willing to lose that EMD, like the $10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to lose $10. I really don't care. I mean, I spent more than $10 on a lockbox, and I'll leave a lockbox on afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if my average wholesale fee is about $5 to $10 grand.
Mm-hmm. What's $10?
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. What's $40? Because that's the average cost for a lockbox for me is about $40.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I go to Home Depot and I buy a lockbox for $38 plus tax. So, I will, on a vacant house, I'll usually try to put a lockbox on it, and I'll try to convince the seller that, hey, can we put a lockbox on there? Now I don't need the seller to be there when I do showings.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I don't even need to be there when I do showings. If it's a buyer I trust, then I'll have them walk through by themselves.
Yeah. So another question that popped up for me is, at what point do you have the contractor come in and take a look at the house, or to kind of do an assessment? I mean, I know prior to, I'll be running comps to get an idea, but
Correct.
or do you get the house under contract first and then say it, or how do you do that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, it's okay.
So the process is it depends on how hot the deal is. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a smoking deal, what I mean by that is that everything is looking really good, like you're getting it really underpriced, get it under contract and worry about going out there and viewing the property and getting photos and getting marketing and stuff like that later. Okay. But what I usually like to do in my process is I follow up with them. I get all the information I can. Mm-hmm. If we're around about the price where we need to be or close to it, okay, then I'll say I need to walk through the property, so then I walk through property, I take some photos, and to this point, I'm at least, how should I put this? I can at least estimate a good rehab. Okay. But when you're in the beginning, what you can do is this, okay, is you can, talk to a contractor and get a bid, go have them meet you out there at the same time you're taking photos.
Okay.
Sometimes you only have one shot and that's it. Okay. And overtake photos 100%. Act like you're walking through the property.
Like the paparazzi.
Correct. All right. Okay. I do wide shots, and then if I see something wrong, I will. Yeah. I don't zoom in it, but I pay more close attention to it, so I get another shot where it's showing that. Okay. That way I can be at least honest. And what happens is when somebody looks at my photos, they can at least see the problem areas and the good areas. I don't want somebody bullshitting me, excuse my French, but bullshitting me on, well, you didn't tell me that the foundation wall was leaning and blah, 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 and this and that.
Right.
Did you look at the photos? And now what I'm doing is I'm adding in, not only am I doing the photos, but I'm also doing a walkthrough video.
Oh, okay.
Just off my cell phone, and I'm doing commentary on everything that I see. If I think I have some ideas for some fix and flip, you can take down this wall, I'll put that in there. Okay. But I keep that on widescreen. I walk through the whole property because photos can be edited, but video is very, very hard to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Photos can be, the lighting was not here, there, whatever. Well, go look at the video. I walked right through it and you can see it. And they can at least get a roundabout price of where they want to be. And then say, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to be close to asking. I just need to walk through it.
Okay.
Okay. So that is with marketing. It's kind of, the biggest thing is with your contracts, you want to do, first you get the PA signed. And then once you get the buyer, you get the assignment signed. Okay. Once you got both of those, you send them off to title. If you don't want to wait until you get the buyer, send at least the PA, letting know that it's going to be a wholesale deal and there's an assignment coming. Okay. So you have to understand that as well. And sometimes, if you're dealing with, like, say, a bank foreclosure, that it's a bank, if it's a bank owned property, you may have to secure some gap funding because you may need to do a double close and not an assignment. Okay. Usually the only way I do those is if there's a big enough spread to be able to pay for that. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. I wanted to, let me go over here. I'm going to show you. Here we go. So I'm going to, as soon as it comes up, there we go. 5%. Okay. So this is my purchase agreement. Okay.
Okay.
So this is 4 pages long. It's very simple. And probably you can get rid of half a page easily, if not a full page. You put in your seller name. You put in the buyer name. Buyer would be through your LLC. Okay. It's in the county, and then you put the address, okay, of the property. You make sure that all this stuff here that's inside the house that they don't want to keep. If there's something that they want to keep, just exclude it right here. Okay?
Okay.
This is the important part, which is the purchase price. Okay? So if I say $100,000, I'm going to type in, hold on. I'm going to type in $100,000. It's like that. Now, one thing I always do is if I make any changes to that, I highlight it and I just turn it bold.
Okay.
It just makes it stand out. Also at the top, you put the date that you're doing this. Okay. Now, number 3 is the terms of payment is the X below. So behind here, so we're going to do basically like an X right through here. Now, this is cash. When you do that, all this is null and void. Okay?
Okay.
All the way up to number 4. So I could even delete this and they don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Number 4 just states that the property is not zoned single family residence or cannot be used legally. Basically, there's no zoning restrictions, and it's zoned for what we discussed. Okay, if it's zoned for something different, then the agreement is terminated. All right.
What would be an example of that?
If you have a single family house and now all of a sudden the single family house comes up as commercial instead of residential.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And we wouldn't want that?
No, because now you can't sell it to a single family. You have to sell it to a commercial residence.
Because it's a commercial okay, got you.
Yep. And now you would have to, the seller or somebody else who buys it has to go through the city to get it rezoned.
Mm.
All right. And that's costly and takes time.
Okay.
So, closing shall be on or before. What I usually do is if I give 30 days, I put the 30th day after this is signed.
Okay.
I'll give you one guess why.
30 days after the day it's signed.
And why I don't put a date.
Because you want it to be signed and you want the clock to start ticking after the signature is already on the...
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
If I put a date on there and they wait a week to sign it, now what happens?
Yeah.
I just lost a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where I do all that. We're going through title company. This is basically my standard closing. Now on here, this is where I show them. Okay. Buyer shall pay for the closing costs and transfer title. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Buyer will pay all closing costs. Seller shall pay the following closing costs and transfer title. Seller shall pay none. Okay. Now you can negotiate this where the seller pays the standard and the buyer pays the standard, or vice versa, whatever. Usually the reason why they're going with us is because we're paying all the closing costs.
Okay.
Okay. So you put a check mark an XX next to the one that you're doing. Okay. Right here, number 7 is proration. All rents, if there's a tenant involved, all rentals and association, condominium fees, property management insurance, and so on and so forth. Like all this is subject to up to the date of closing. What this says is, okay, all the water bills, all the taxes, and any blight tickets up to the day of closing, the seller is responsible for.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room.